What's going on, everybody? It's Steve here with my VBL Season 7 review. My goal going into the season was to make the best Shedinja team as possible. Ended up top 4 out of 16. Good enough for me. Let's get into it. 2 seasons in a row, not the best regular season, where whoever wins in our Week 7 matchup is into the playoffs. Last season it was me versus Bohm. This season it was me versus Canor. I won both of those games, and both of them with very specific strategies. Last season it was Parish Trap. This season it was Sturdy Shedinja. And sometimes those things just work out for you. I had lots of entertaining games, and we'll get into the nitty-gritty about those games later. Shedinja is funny and fun to play around, but it's not terribly good in draft because basically every Pokemon has a way of dealing with it. I think the best advantage I have was against Braff in round 1 because it checked his Araquanid, but he just brought Crunch on Araquanid anyway, so it really didn't make any sense to bring Shedinja. Anyway, I finished top 4 for the 6th time. I've played 8 seasons. I won the first season. I got second season 6. I got third season 5. And I missed the playoffs with 2 incredibly gimmicky... I missed the playoffs once with an incredibly gimmicky season, and I lost round of 8 with a completely random draft. Otherwise, top 4, 75% of the time. Team positives, Raikou, incredible. You can't ask any more from a mon than Raikou. Maybe it's because the power level was so lower, but Raikou came every week and did everything I needed it to do. It was crazy. Great value. Piloswine and Sandaconda are there. I dropped Sandaconda for Piloswine, but they basically filled the same role. I needed Piloswine for the ice resistance that Sandaconda didn't give me. Beheeyem, on the other hand, has a monstrous special attack stat. It didn't really play that many weeks, but it ended up the 3rd or 4th in kills on my team. Piloswine was 2nd in kills. 2 hilariously value mons, and Sandaconda did great until I had to drop it. Weezing and Shedinja forced teams to build differently than normal because of neutralizing gas, as well as Misty Terrain, as well as Wonder Guard. Those are 3 very disruptive abilities that if you can get your hands on them, you probably should in a draft league because it makes people think about things they wouldn't normally think about. Can I bring Will-O-Wisp? Can I bring Thunderwave against this Weezing? Do I have a way of beating Shedinja? Maybe my team is very good against Shedinja in general, but if he brings it, can I kill it? At the end of the day, regular Weezing would have been better for me here because I rarely brought Terrain, and if I did, it didn't really put in that much work. Alternatively, I could have dropped something for something like Hitmonlee or Thievul, some sort of unburdened mon, which would have, particularly in Thievul's case, given me a team advantage because it would add that ghost resistance that I was missing, as well as giving me the fastest mon in the format. Nothing is outspeeding Thievul after that unburdened boost, other than Excelgor, but who cares about Excelgor? So over the season, I had 14 mons. They all played at least 1 game, and they all had at least 1 kill. Fantastic. They all played a part. That's all you can ask for when you're in a draft. So here's some stats So my top 3 played at the end of the season. We had 18 games on Raikou, 8 on Alchemy, and 11 on Shedinja. So I drafted a Shedinja team, and I brought Shedinja 11 times. What more can you ask for? Raikou, 18 games, only 10 deaths. That's just over half of the games, and 14 kills as the kill leader. What more can you ask for? And my next kill leaders there, Beheeyem, and Piloswine. followed closely by Drampa, who somehow got 7 kills. I'm not too sure about that one. And then another thing I wanted to highlight with this graphic was my trades. So I traded Golduck, who was 3-0. I did play Golduck on a very specific anti-Sly team, where its entire role there was to kill Talonflame, which it did, and then I won the game. Going into this season, I'd previously used Weezing alongside Slaking, and Slaking was amazing in BDSP, so I figured, Regigigas could be good. I brought it twice, and it sucked. Don't pick Regigigas when you don't have a Dynamax format. This thing is terrible, because it forces you to run neutralizing gas, whereas if you have a Slaking, you can fake running neutralizing gas and still have an effective team, because the slow start doesn't have your attacks. You can still fake switching in this Weezing, which is not neutralizing gas, while you have a Slaking out there with slow start, which would allow it to keep attacking. You can't do these mind games with Regigigas. Sandaconda I dropped for Piloswine. I think we can all agree that was kind of successful. Sandaconda played 5, Piloswine played 6. 9 kills for Piloswine, 4 for Sandaconda, 3 and 2, 4 and 2. Piloswine did better. Easy as that. I had no Eviolite threats before that. Piloswine came every week after. Dropped Golduck for Mantine. That didn't work out. And Gigas for Fletchinder. That kind of worked out. I still maintain if Poppin had not brought Feint specifically on his Sableye, I would have had a great chance of winning that game. So that's great team building by him. But Mantine, Fletchinder, not panning out there in the trades. And I would have liked to have traded Carpink for perhaps a stronger rock type. So I had too much support and not enough offense this time. And the same as last season, I was too slow to go fast and too fast to go slow. And I made those trades for Fletchinder and Mantine. That gives me Tailwind. That allows me to go faster, but my slow mode is still not great. Basically, every matchup I went into, I looked at it and Drampa's not slow enough. So I couldn't run Trick Room reliably, and I don't think I ever did run Trick Room. I was too weak to Ice and Ground, which teams like Sucaba and Heaven took advantage of in this season until I traded. So I got rid of that ice weakness with the Sandaconda Piloswine trade. I picked up a fire type, and I picked up a flying water type. All of those are great against ice and ground, as long as they don't have freeze dry. Do not pick Regigigas. I already went over this. It's so much worse than Slaking. Just unbelievably. Because of the nature of my team, I didn't have Fake Out, because initially I wanted to have no shared weaknesses with Shedinja. Refer to my draft review on why I didn't draft any of these mons, like Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee would have been great on my team. And without Fake Out, when there's no Dynamax, it's so much harder to control the game. And when I have no Rock or Ghost Resist after those trades, because you pick up Piloswine instead of Sandaconda, you lose that Rock Resist. That just makes Shedinja that much worse. So perhaps this team would have been better in the previous season where mons weren't banned, but at that point Shedinja's just worse because there are more mons that can touch Shedinja. So give or take. And I will say I had Alchemy here as a negative. I came around on Alchemy, and it almost won me that game against Poppin. It definitely carried the game against Braff, and it carried the game against Canor. So I can't complain too much about Alchemy. I had all around an entertaining season again. I don't have, last season when I did this thing, I had this graphic up of the opposing coaches voting like 3 of my games in as their most entertaining games. But these are 5 out of my 7 weeks. I thought I had really great games, and we're going to go into 3 of these in further detail. Sucaba, Heaven, and Pop in particular. Versus Sly, I cheesed the hell out of him. I don't need to sugarcoat it. I extreme speeded his Talonflame with Raikou, and then I had a Scarf Golduck to kill his Talonflame after the extreme speed. In the following game, I had a Specs Misty Explosion next to Misty Terrain Weezing. Hilarious. And then Canor Sturdy Shedinja, Sturdy Carbink, Skill Swap onto Alchemy, Entrainment onto Shedinja. That's all you need. GG, you can't kill Shedinja. So there's the best moment there, Sturdy Shedinja. And as previously mentioned, E-Speed and Scarf Scald to KO Talonflame. But I also had that hilarious moment against Poppin with the Hurricane Confuse. It was just Mantine versus Orbeetle with a Calm Mind boost up, I believe. And my out was a Hurricane Confusion into self-hit, into another Hurricane hit, or a crit. And I got the Hurricane Confused self-hit Hurricane, which was awesome. So, and let me just make sure my camera's not in the way. Let's get into these cool-ass games that I had this season. So, these games, I think, all involve Shedinja. I think Shedinja played in all of these games, which kind of contributed to how these games got to these places. For Sucaba, Game 3, we were robbed of an interesting game. So he led Regice Durant. So you see it says turn 1. This is technically the end of turn 1. I led Shedinja Sandaconda versus his Durant Regice. He switches Regice out into Charizard. I protect Sandaconda because of the first impression, and Shedinja misses Poltergeist into Charizard. The way this has played out previously in the 2 games, I know that the only way he has to hit Shedinja is Charizard Heat Wave and Air Slash, and Naganadel has Gastro Acid. So he switches in Charizard here. I miss Poltergeist, and that is horrible. Because I miss Poltergeist, he just spams Heat Wave here, and I think he wins 4-0 this game because he can literally just click Heat Wave. I did not have Carbink in the bag, so I had nothing that resisted Heat Wave. But if I hit the Poltergeist on Charizard, it does 70% on that switch in. So he has to make that decision. Do I stay in Heat Wave or Air Slash onto the Shedinja? Do I switch out into Regice so I once again have 2 Mons who can't possibly hit the Shedinja? Do I Air Slash and go for the flinch? Or do I switch in Naganadel and take definitely over 50% from another Poltergeist? And if Charizard dies here, if he decides to stay in, my play on the following turn, had this Poltergeist hit, would be to switch in Weezing. I have Misty Surge, I can't get burnt. He kills the Focus Sash, but I kill Charizard. Now it's just Naganadel with Gastro Acid that can solve the Shedinja. And that is an incredible game. And I'm sad we didn't get to see it because Poltergeist missed. Versus Heaven, Game 3. Here we are on turn 3. He did a good switch turn 1. He switched out Ninetales into Marsh Stomp. Yeah, he led Ninetales Nidoking. I Volt switched onto the Ninetales. He switched it out into Marsh Stomp. Eventually I ended up killing the Nidoking. So now we're left in this situation where my Shedinja, with safety goggles obviously because it's still on the field, is up against this Sceptile, Ninetales, and Marsh Stomp. I already know their full movesets. Ninetales and Marsh Stomp cannot hit Shedinja. Sceptile, up until this point, I did not see Rock Tomb. I knew it had Worry Seed and Fling, and I believe it also had a Grass move. I didn't know this until after the game, and I think it's an important part of analyzing your games to not look at them in hindsight, because hindsight warps your perspective. I did not know he had Rock Tomb, so I went for Ally Switch Shedinja and Psychic into Shedinja, because I knew if I kill Shedinja, Sableye literally cannot die. In the moment, that seemed like a good play, because I had not seen Rock Tomb. Now, what does that lose to? That loses to Sceptile, any of Sceptile's Worry Seed, Fling, or Rock Tomb into the Behemoth slot, or Fling into either of the slots. Because if he flings, I can't get rid, or I can't use Poltergeist, which doesn't put him into Shadow Sneak. If he flings his King's Rock, he flinches the Behemoth, and even if I endure, he flinches the Shedinja. And I probably just lose to Sceptile switching out right away with this move as well. The only way I win is if Sceptile Rock Tombs the Shedinja slot, which I didn't know he had Rock Tomb. So this was unequivocally the wrong play for me to make. So, what if instead I did Psychic and Poltergeist onto Sceptile? That loses to Sceptile Fling regardless. Sceptile is going first here, he flings, Poltergeist doesn't go off. Either he kills Shedinja or he flinches Behemoth. Done. Sceptile wins the game. Unless I switch, but we're looking at a specific situation because I think this was my best move in this scenario. What else does it lose to? It loses to Worry Seed or Rock Tomb into Shedinja. Does it lose to Rock Tomb into Shedinja? No, yeah, it does, because I don't have Focus Sash. Yeah. So either of those things, Ninetales is using Blizzard here. So if he Worry Seeds or Rock Tombs into Shedinja, Shedinja dies. But what it does win to is Rock Tomb into Behemoth, which is what he did. And he also Blizzard, and I didn't know this after the fact. I actually had a chance to live Blizzard plus Rock Tomb into the Behemoth slot. And this is how Pokemon is such a complex game. If you know the exact calcs of everything, you can probably win every game. But if I knew I had a chance to just straight up live with my Behemoth, I would never have clicked Ally Switch here. Instead, the play I made no sense because I didn't know he had Rock Tomb, and it also just straight up lost me the game. Versus Poppin, Game 3, Week 6. This is easily the best game I have ever played. The most competitive game I have ever played. I look back on this game in fondness because I thought I had messed up in several places, but when you look back on it with the information that you knew, again, don't use hindsight when you're analyzing these games. Did you make the best play? So, here, Blacephalon is locked into Shadow Ball. Venusaur has Leech Seed, Light Screen, Sludge Bomb, and Giga Drain, and has revealed all of those moves and is at 0.4 special attack. Noivern, who is in the back, you can see it there, I know it's in the back, has Super Fang, Tailwind, Draco Meteor, and Wild Charge. Mantine protected the previous turn. So, what I did, and I called it out during this game, I said, if he switches Blacephalon into Noivern, he wins the game. And there was a way to play around this, and we'll get into that. So what I did was I doubled Blacephalon. I Scalded and High Horsepowered into the Blacephalon. So that loses to Shadow Ball on Piloswine. Shadow Ball he is Choice Specs, by the way. Shadow Ball into the Choice Specs onto the Piloswine is a KO. However, a point we are missing here is that I had only used Ice Shard, Icicle Spear, and High Horsepower up to this point. He didn't know my fourth move. It could have been Protect, and after watching his video, he thought it was Protect. It was super powered to deal with Wall Rain. What else does this lose to? It loses specifically to Venusaur switching or using Leech Seed on Mantine. Why does it lose to Leech Seed on Mantine? Because Poppin did not know, and we talked about this later, that if he kills himself with Mind Blown, he loses the game. So if he does not get the Leech Seed off, and I kill either of Venusaur or Noivern here, he dies, or he loses the game by killing himself with Mind Blown. What the play I make does win against is Shadow Ball into Mantine, which I thought for him was a very safe play. So what if I Ice Shard Venusaur and I Scald Blacephalon? I win, maybe, most of the time, if he switches Blacephalon into Noivern here. Noivern does not have Protect. I just Ice Shard Noivern and I Protect. He probably just uses Mind Blown because he doesn't know he loses the game there. Do I know that in hindsight? Probably not. So realistically, that's not the play. It also just straight up loses if he Shadow Balls Piloswine. Instead, what if I Ice Shard Venusaur and Ice Beam Blacephalon? That's incredibly greedy because it's the exact same situation, but I also lose if Blacephalon just Shadow Balls Mantine. He's locked into Shadow Ball. He can just click Shadow Ball into Mantine and win the game. The only reason he doesn't is because he knows I have Protect on Mantine. Realistically, he can't safely Shadow Ball into either slot because he knows Mantine has Protect and he hasn't seen the fourth slot onto Piloswine. This is such a ridiculously deep turn. This turn obviously determined who wins the game, and he played it correctly based on what I did. He just switched Blacephalon into Noivern, and then the following turn I killed both of them. I just Ice Sharded Noivern, I Ice Beamed Venusaur, but because he got Leech Seed onto the Mantine, I was not at enough health that I couldn't protect, so he just killed me. However, this was turn 6. Let's go back to turn 4. Did I throw? Here. I have Piloswine. I have Alchemy. So what I did, I doubled Venusaur here. With Mystical Fire and Ice Shard. So Ice Shard did 36%-ish. And Mystical Fire on the previous turn did 21%. Now, obviously, I don't know his spread. So when I see 21 plus 36, I see 67. I think that's going to kill. On the other hand, he sees my Piloswine at 50%. He knows he has Giga Drain on Venusaur, he has Draco Meteor. And I watched his video. I know for a fact he got my spread bang on in his damage calc. So if he did that damage calc of Draco Meteor plus Giga Drain, he would know he kills it 75% of the time. My move against his exact spread of Venusaur with the light screen up only kills just under 1/4 of the time. Either max roll, I believe, kills this Venusaur. So what if I Icicle Spears Venusaur and Mystical Fire Venusaur? Just double up, right? I know it doesn't have Protect. I know the other one doesn't have Protect. Venusaur dies 100% and I win the game 100%. If Venusaur dies here, I win. Because Piloswine can Ice Shard. Mantine is in the back. Mantine just scalds. Mantine wins. How does that lose? That loses to just straight up Draco Giga Drain onto Piloswine 75% of the time. If he switches Noivern out in that situation, he definitely loses because he's not doing any damage to either of these. Venusaur dies. I kill Noivern with Ice Shard the following turn, and Alchemy gets some somewhat meaningless damage off into Blacephalon, and then Mantine wins the game. If he switches Venusaur in this situation, it depends on the amount of Icicle Spear hits. Because 5 hits from Icicle Spear plus the Mystical Fire behind Light Screen plus Ice Shard can still kill Blacephalon on the switching. So this would depend on the 5 hits. 100% depend. If I get the 5 hits, which is, like a 15% chance or something, then that would 100% be the correct play. However, not knowing the Venusaur spread, I still think the move that I made was correct because it gives me that 23-ish% chance to win the game instantly if I kill that Venusaur. I can't rely on that 5 hit, and now I'm talking in hindsight, but I can't rely on that 5 hit plus Mystical Fire special attack drop plus Ice Shard to kill that Blacephalon. Because if he switches that Venusaur out into the Blacephalon, I get 2, 3, 4 hits, instant loss. However, if he stays in with that Venusaur, and I get that 23% chance roll on the Mystical Fire and Ice Shard, guaranteed win. It's so tight, this game. This game is so incredible. And, props, all the props in the world to Poppin to how he played it. Because there are two turns here that decided the game. And he got both of them exactly right to what I did. And that's an amazing feat. I do think I'm in the disadvantage of both of these turns because of how bulky he was. But that is hindsight talking. Without the hindsight talking, I still think I made the correct play. If you think differently, let me know in the comments. What could I have done? I have looked over this game so many times because I thought I threw here. I thought I threw. But looking over it, I think this was the correct play. Let me know. Anyway, sometimes there's never a safe play. Just play your best. Have fun. You're playing a game, Make some friends. Enjoy yourself. Just get top 4 75% of the time. Let's go. Thanks for watching, everybody. I got some Scarlet and Violet content coming at you soon. Peace.